through the portal. Somebody's going to respond to you.
Vashti Dubois, Color Girls.
Color Girls.
Anderson in for Jen Fred, who is just, taking a little bit of much deserved time. So I will be with you for at least today, maybe the next couple days, and then go back to my 7 to 10 p.m. slot for the next week. There is a lot going on as we get ready to jump right into it. You know the drill for this show. If it is live, if it is happening, we will move around and take you there. A couple of quick things before we get to our first event. Taking a look at the stock market for people who pay attention to this, it remains in decline. Again, have not seen 45,000 in a while. We were up over 50,000 not that long ago. But it continues to decline largely on the discussion of what's going on in Iran and the economy, some of the challenges with the Fed not choosing to lower interest rates yesterday has sent the market into ongoing decline. Also, and where we're going to start today, is President Trump is speaking with Japan's Prime Minister Takashi. It is the first time since she became the first female Prime Minister in Japan's history that she has made her way to the United States. She's sitting down with President Trump talking about any number of things, and we're going to get right to it.
With all of us, really, but Pete's been very strong on it. The General and Pete, myself, the whole group. And Raytheon is building 4 factories. Lockheed is building 5 or 6 factories, and they're building them fast, because we had a very tough meeting with them. They were going out and buying back stock for $51 billion in one case. They spent $51 billion buying back stock. Now they're not allowed to do that. And they are now building a tremendous, there's never been anything like it, what's taking place right now. So we're in very good shape, but we want to be in the best shape we've ever been in. We were that, when I rebuilt the military, we were in great shape, and then Biden blew it, and he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. And if you listen to the Democrats, they don't even want to have a military. Now you see how important it is. But we have the strongest military in the world. We have the best equipment. We make by far the best equipment. The other night, they had 114 rockets shot at a certain location. And out of 100 highly sophisticated rockets, out of 114 sophisticated rockets, every single one of them was shot down with our equipment, all our equipment. It's amazing, actually, how good it is. So we want to be sure, and it's a small price to pay to make sure that we stay tippy-top.
Mr. President, you said... Mr. President, the Treasury Secretary this morning said there were defections among Iranian leadership. Are you aware of that, and is there anybody the U.S. can work with as a leader going forward?
Well, we have a man named the Treasury Secretary here, so maybe he wants to discuss it. Does anybody know? Do you know who he is? Central Casting.
Yeah, so Ed, we are seeing the defections at all levels as they're starting to sense what's going on with the regime. It doesn't get reported here in the U.S. very well, but we are trouncing them from the air, and the regime will probably collapse within itself. At Treasury, we've seen where they've wired their money out of the country. We're coming for that. We're going to get it back to the Iranian people.
Mr. President, you're seeing defections?
Israel.
There's a lot of military defections also. You have a lot of military defections in Iran. I don't blame them.
Thank you, Mr. President. Have you talked to Prime Minister Netanyahu about attacking the oil and gas fields?
Yeah, I did. I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss. We do. We're independent, but get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
And the last one, if I could, the Fed chairman told me yesterday that he plans to stay until a new Fed chairman is confirmed, and he also plans to stay on the board until the investigation of the Federal Reserve is done.
Well, he's under investigation because he's building a building for hundreds of billions of dollars more than it's supposed to cost. The building you see over there is under budget and ahead of schedule. That's the ballroom. The ballroom is a much bigger building. It's a much more complex building than what he's doing, and it's at a fraction of the cost. Something is going on, whether it's contractors. That's what I do best in the world. I build great buildings. I've always done it, and I build them under budget and ahead of schedule. They could have $4 billion. This is a renovation job. for $4 billion. And if you look at the building, it's not even, I don't know if Kevin Warsh is ever going to be able to move into it. It's been under construction for years. It's the most expensive building ever built. Now, I know it's gross incompetent because I happen to think he's grossly incompetent. Today, certainly you should be lowering interest rates, all right? Certainly, who would not lower them? But he's stubborn, and he's got Trump derangement syndrome. But a lot of people have that, you know. It's not a curable disease. But he's also building, he should be lowering rates immediately. But he won't do that because he's a stubborn, incompetent person. And that's a bad thing. You know, when you're stubborn and incompetent, I think it's the worst combination. And he's also not a smart person. But he's building a complex over there that's under his jurisdiction. He started it, and it's out of control. It's billions of dollars for a little building. I could have done that building and made it beautiful for $25 million. $25 million, and it would have been beautiful. Look what I've done at the White House, fixing it up. And I mean, the place was in bad shape. You see the floors and everything. It was in bad shape. I could have made that building beautiful for $25 million. They're spending $4 billion. All right? So there is criminality. Maybe it's with the contractor, but because I know more about contractors than any human being maybe that's ever lived. But that contractor is a very rich man. Whoever the contractor is, and we know, but whoever the contractor is an extremely rich man. He's going to make, I mean, he could make millions of dollars. I'm hearing numbers from $3 to $4 billion. That would make it the most expensive building on a square foot basis ever built in history. And you're not even building a building, it's a renovation. The exterior skin is staying, the steel is staying, the structure. So all I want to do is bring out to the public that this guy is an incompetent. He's a very incompetent guy. And he may be a dishonest guy, but somebody's dishonest because there's no way that building can be $3 to $4 billion.
Mr. President, on a straight of four minutes.
Thank you.
Please.
Mr. President, you just mentioned Japan.
This looks like one of your people right here.
Thank you.
Is he good or bad? Good. Is he a good reporter or bad? Don't you know?
So.
Not a, all right, he looks like a nice guy. Go ahead.
Mr. President, you just mentioned Japan is stepping up. What kind of the support do you expect from Japan in the future?
Look, I expect Japan to step up because, you know, we have that kind of relationship. And we step up for Japan. We have 45,000 soldiers in Japan. We spend a lot of money on Japan. And we've had that kind of a relationship. So I'm not surprised that they would step up. We don't need much. We don't need anything. I mean, honestly, we don't need anything from Japan or from anyone else. But I think it's appropriate that people step up. In the case of Japan, I hear they get more than 90% of their oil through the strait. So that's a big reason to step up. I mean, we've demolished, that country is close to demolished. The only thing is the strait. It's very hard. You could take two people and they could drop little bombs in the water and they're holding things up. We don't want that to happen. But honestly, Japan, China, Europe, parts of Europe, get a lot of their oil through the strait. We get none, practically. We're less than 1%. We don't have to be any percent. We don't even, I think we do it just to be nice. But we think of it, we don't use the strait. We're defending the strait for everybody else. And then in the case of NATO, they don't want to help us defend the strait, and they're the ones that need it. But now they're getting much nicer because they're seeing my attitude. They're getting much nicer. But as far as I'm concerned, it's too late. You know, UK wants to send aircraft carriers now. And I said, I want the aircraft carriers before the war. I don't want them after the war is won. They want to send me aircraft carriers after the war. There's practically nobody to shoot at them. You know, their missile count is down, Pete. Maybe you could discuss it by about 90-something%. The drones are way down, and the factories are being demolished. Maybe.
Yes, sir. Our missiles being shot are down over 90% since the beginning. One-way attack drones down 90% since the beginning, which is a reflection of overwhelming firepower. But you mentioned the most important part, Mr. President. Their defense industrial base. If you can't make more of it in the future, then you have a limited supply. And so we're going after all of their defense contractors that make all of their exquisite weapons and ensuring that even if they wanted to rebuild more launchers or more missiles, they couldn't in the future. And that's a level of devastation for their military that they've never seen before.
So we have, in literally 2 weeks, we've demolished their Navy, their Air Force. All technology is gone, all communication is gone, and all of the leaders are gone. Other than that, they're doing quite well. Okay, how about one more question for the Prime Minister? Let me pick a beautiful-looking person from Japan. A question for the Prime Minister. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Oh, he doesn't believe he's beautiful.
Oh, okay.
He sounded shy.
With
Go ahead,
Japanese people,
please.
of course, no, Japan and US are very good friends. But one question: why didn't you tell US allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? You know, he's asking me. No, you believe in surprise, I think, much more so than us. And we had to surprise him, and we did. And because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what we, and much more than we anticipated doing. So if I go and tell everybody about it, there's no longer a surprise, right? Okay, one more for the Prime Minister, please. Are you going to for the Prime Minister?
Yes,
Go ahead, for the Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Japan's DJ Press. Japan's biggest concern is China. Now they're giving us export control and very harsh terms to criticize us. So could you plan? Will you plan to bring up relationship between Japan and China while you're there?
Yeah. Well, I'll be going to China very quickly, but I think I'd really like to have the Prime Minister talk about China because I know they have a little bit of an edgy relationship, and I'd just like to know where it stands, how you're doing with China. So, please.
で日本はいつも中国に対してオープンです。会話はオープンにしています。それから冷静に対応しています。でとにかく米中関係も含めてですね、これが地域の安定、それから世界のサプライチェーン、これに貢献するものであることを願っています。日本は常にオープンです。
So first of all, Japan has been consistently open to dialogue with China. And also, second, we have been addressing our relations with China in a calm manner. And also, speaking of the US-China relationship, my sincere hope is that the relationship will be something conducive for regional security and also ensuring the global supply chain in the world. Once again, I would like to reiterate that Japan has been consistently open to dialogue with China.
And I think we're going to have a great trip. The trip has been postponed for about a month and a half. It's been reset, and we look forward to it. And I'll be speaking Japan's praises when I'm in China with President Xi. But we're going to have some good talks today. And I think mostly about trade, because they want to do a lot of trade. They're a tremendous purchaser of our energy, our oil, gas from, in particular, Alaska. Because Alaska, believe it or not, is very close. It's much closer than any other source. It seems a little cold compared to, but it's just a short trip.
So that's something that we will talk after the press corps leaves.
We'll be discussing trade, and a lot of the talk will be about energy. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President. Thank you, President. Thank you, President.
Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. So that was a lot to unpack. Japanese Prime Minister is here. That is Sanae Takaichi. She is the first female prime minister in Japan's history and is making her first visit to the United States. Some back and forth about not, kind of unrelated. Like that's the way that those things go. There is a brief introduction period, there is a discussion, and then it goes into Q&A. And because you have access to world leaders, the Q&A can go all over the place, as it just did. But we did get some interesting answers about developments and things that are taking place. We've got plenty more that's coming up through the next couple of hours. We're expecting a presser with our district attorney here in Philadelphia. We've got multiple reporters who are out and about. There is a announcement about a fan fest for FIFA as that gets a little bit closer. So basically, if it is live and going on, we will have it for you. Just sit tight. We're going to take a quick break. It's Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Philadelphia Live on Fox Local, 12:18, as we get you caught up on everything that's taking place. There are a lot of different hearings and events going on all over the area, and we will get you updated on them. And again, we're on Fox Local, but we also are streaming on all Fox 29 social media platforms. So we're up right now on the Fox 29 TikTok page, on Facebook, on YouTube. So all the people who are watching in various ways, who would like to jump in on the chat, who would like to have discussions or ask questions. I'm actually here on the phone, have the Fox 29 TikTok page open right now. So if you would like to jump in on that, you absolutely can. We're continuing to monitor what's going on with the stock market as it fluctuates around. But again, as you can see, down another 300 plus points since opening this morning. Not trending obviously in the right direction, and not really sure what's going to happen today that potentially settles it or bottoms it out so that the numbers can then turn around. It's interesting because with so much going on globally, there are any number of things that the president can say, or meetings that take place, or developments with what's going on with Iran or the Strait of Hormuz. All of those can lead to the market changing and responding. It is also interesting to sit there and watch in real time as people get the notice announcements of some of the comments that President Trump made. We just showed you the president sitting with the Prime Minister of Japan and made some pretty significant comments about Fed Chair Powell. Do those comments end up being reflected in the stock market, his lack of confidence and his desire to continue to see rates reduced? So we'll see. We will keep watching it, continuing to go through that process. We want to go to a rally that is taking place right now. We're going to listen in. It is a prevention, not punishment rally that kind of focuses on, it's in New York City, focusing on how people are being protected, additional kind of prevention tools that can potentially be implemented. Let's listen in.
That believes in what we stand for, that understands what Islamophobia is, that what anti-Semitism is, and we are prepared to work with them to be able to make those changes. And so thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate being here. And just to say this, I represent LGBTQ communities. Many of my community members do not feel comfortable calling the police. And in the last administration, we saw a increase in folks calling for help who were undocumented on our hotline because they could not rely on the city to be able to provide safety for them. Why? Because we saw a mayor who was engaging with the federal government in a way that did not protect our immigrants, and we cannot have that at all. And so please support this legislation. Thank you all so much.
Not here! Not here! You said right here! Community safety! Right here! Community safety! Right here!
No, that's perfect. Let me riff for a moment while our next speaker. Okay, you got it. Next up, we will hear from Daphne Tomasila from the Asian American Federation.
Hi everyone, my name is Daphne Tomasila. I'm so happy to be here today. The Asian American Federation is proud to have contributed to the New York City Against Hate Violence report on community-based solutions to hate violence prevention. This robust, thoroughly researched report comes at a time when Asian New Yorkers continue to grapple with ongoing bias and discrimination, when our immigrant family members and neighbors are facing threats to their safety. AF's Hope Against Hate campaign was envisioned as a community-centered approach to safety in the wake of anti-Asian violence during the pandemic. We're especially grateful that the lessons we've learned through our campaign, through our Safe Zones program, our community companion volunteer programs, are featured in this proposal, along with many other grassroots initiatives across the city to bring communities together, foster understanding, and get to the root causes of violence. What the research and the experience of our local organizations show is that community-based solutions are the key to ensuring the safety of all New Yorkers. We Keep Us Safe is not a slogan, but a call to action, and an affirmation that we New Yorkers take care of each other. Among the recommendations proposed, I want to highlight the call for expanded language access to mental health care. Language access is critical for the 42% of Asian New Yorkers who are limited English proficient and deserve support and resources no matter what languages we speak. And there's a huge link between mental health and hate violence. We learned that compassion and treating each other with humanity can only help prevent violence, and all we're here for victims. We're proud to stand here with this coalition of organizations to support this report and uplift these community-centered solutions to keep New York safe. Thank you.
Our next speaker is public advocate Imani Williams.
Everybody. All right. You know what? We are really being steeped in hatred from all sides right now. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, anti-black, anti-Asian, anti-brown, racism. This is all happening. And unfortunately, this hate has led to violence in the city and nationally. Sadly, we have a president who not only believes in that, but encourages it to the people of the country. And even as crime has fallen in the city, I want to make sure I get this number right, hate crime have increased up 152% in 2026 compared to the same time in 2025. 152%. Sadly, it does not require overt, intentional white supremacy or racism in order to perpetuate these systems or advance ideas rooted in this ideology. So we do need direct opposition. We do need concrete responses and concrete action.
It's 12:25, and as we move away from this rally, we're going to go to Denver, where they are having a meeting, a discussion from leaders in the city who are discussing the future of some of the buildings, the properties that are named after civil rights leader Cesar Chavez. There have been some recent allegations and accusations against him that have people kind of looking into what that legacy should be and whether names that or things that bear his name should remain. And that's what they're discussing in Denver right now.
Question, but an important one. What does our community need from us right now? What we heard was clear. Our community is asking for honesty, for accountability, and for leadership that does not look away. As the mayor mentioned, in Northwest Denver, we have a park on Tennyson named after Cesar Chavez. And after listening and reflecting, we made the very difficult decision to remove the sign and the bust that I drove by my entire life and was so proud to have such a park in my council district. That was not an easy decision, and I don't want anyone to think we've made it lightly. But it was a necessary one as we begin to process this moment with care and respect for those who have been harmed. But removal is not the end of the conversation. It's actually just the beginning. We will take the time to come together as a community and determine what that space should represent moving forward. Because the labor movement, the farm worker movement, that history is bigger than any one person. It belongs to the people, La Raza. It belongs to the workers, the families, and the generations who sacrificed for dignity and justice. As the granddaughter of a farm worker, as the granddaughter of a union leader, as the daughter of a tamalero, as the daughter of a social worker, social justice worker, this moment is deeply personal to me. I carry the stories of struggle, resilience, sacrifice with me every single day. And I know that the movement was built to protect our people, to lift them up, to create opportunity, and to affirm their wealth. That mission does not change, but we have the responsibility to tell the truth, even when it's hard. We cannot build a future rooted in justice if we are not willing to confront the harm when it comes to light. Holding that truth is painful, but necessary. Now is not the time for silence. And now is not the time to turn on one another, which we so often do in our community. It is a time to come together with compassion, with courage, with grace, and a shared commitment to do better. We can use this moment as a catalyst, not to divide us, but to strengthen our resolve to build a community where dignity, safety, and respect are non-negotiable. It took 7 generations of those who became before us, the farm workers, the organizers, the mothers, the fathers, the labor leaders, the advocates, to get us to this moment. In Denver today, we are living history. We have 6 Latinas serving on Denver City Council. The first time in Denver history. That did not happen by accident. It happened because people believed, fought, sacrificed, and believed in something bigger than themselves. And now we carry that responsibility forward. We must be thinking about the next 7 generations after us. My daughter, my nieces. What will they inherit from us? I keep asking myself. What values will we leave behind? What kind of community will we build for them? And I know this. We will not walk away from the work. We will not abandon the values of justice, equity, and dignity. We will lead with honesty, with accountability, and with our corazón, our heart. We will move forward together, and together we will continue the work. Si se puede.
Watching a protest, a series of statements that are being made, and really situations like this are happening all over the country since a 2-year investigation was released yesterday that questions well-respected previously labor leader, civil rights leader Cesar Chavez. And when you talk about context, I mean, this is somebody who was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom. This is somebody who has a national monument. This is somebody who has a bust of them placed in the Oval Office, and multiple states celebrate his life and birthday. And so now, after these allegations of sexual abuse came out yesterday, all over the country, his name is being removed from various places, and there are discussions like the one we just showed about how you proceed with all of the recognition that was given to him earlier in his life. Let's take a break, and we'll be back as we continue on. It's Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Stay tuned. .34. It's Philadelphia Live on Fox Local and all streaming platforms. Again, shout out to the Fox 29 TikTok live stream. I am there in the chat room seeing all the interaction that's going on as we take a look at the Philadelphia skyline from across the water over there in Camden, looking back here, Penn's Landing, Philadelphia area. And somewhere off to the right is our station, not too far from there. A lot going on. It's going to be a summer of excitement and events coming to Philadelphia, with everything from FIFA to the ongoing America 250 celebrations to the All-Star Game. There are golf tournaments, major events coming here. There's a lot going on. And our Greg Payne has been following what many of us have been kind of looking forward to. We're getting closer to FIFA, Greg, and so they're starting to announce all of the different festivals and events that are coming up.
Yeah, Bill, we are officially 84 days away. Who's counting? Well, listen, I'm right here near Lemon Hill, and that is going to be actually the site of essentially the FIFA Fan Fest. It's supposed to be kind of the epicenter for FIFA fans when they come to be able to view the games. If they're not going to the stadium, they can go over there. There's going to be a large setup with large TVs, food trucks. They said there's about to be 75 food trucks, all local food trucks that are going to be all throughout this area for fans to be able to just enjoy everything FIFA related. And so you see it right now, but listen, this place is going to be absolutely locked down come June 11th when we have the first game, because that's when they're going to open it first off for folks to be able to come here to Lemon Hill to be able to, enjoy that fan fest. Now, they mentioned that even on days that they are not having games, they are going to have this area is going to be still set up. You can still come up. So for all those days that this FIFA World Cup is going to be running, the Fan Fest is going to be open. And you might be able to see off in the distance, you see some folks in those yellow shirts. And then also down this way, you might see some of the bulldozers and stuff like that. They're doing a whole lot of work to try to get this area prepared and all set for what is to come, which is supposed to be huge. I mean, officials say there's going to be about 15,000 people. They're expecting 15,000 people each day to be filing on in to Lemon Hill. Now, of course, you hear that number, and I think the thing that people might get a little nervous about is how are we going to navigate getting here? Well, one of the big things that the city was talking about during their press conference about this is that they don't want people to drive. They want people to rely on public transportation, because you see it already. There's cars that are parked all throughout this area, and it gets very packed. So the thing is, they're advising folks to not drive, to utilize public transportation, and they're going to have special routes and things like that to make sure that it's easy and feasible for people to be able to utilize public transportation. But this area is going to be locked down. Now, you see over here, there's a lot of neighborhoods over here. There's been concerns from people living in the area about how this is all going to work, especially with the parking. We had an opportunity to speak with a woman. She had mentioned, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, this area was absolutely packed. People were just parking anywhere that they can get a little space. They were parking there. Well, officials said for this event with Lemon Hill and the Fan Fest, they're actually going to have folks out here patrolling to make sure that the people parking in this area actually live in this area. So they're trying to take extra steps to be able to make this as feasible as possible. But Bill, I mean, it's very exciting. A lot of good information that they've provided. And to be honest, I mean, you looking at it right now, in 84 days, this area is going to look completely different.
Yeah, it is an area, and I understand the residents' concerns about parking and what have you. It's an area that's not unfamiliar with all the events that go on in Fairmount. I mean, obviously not something to this extent, but there's Fairmount Park. There's all sorts of events that go on right around that area. So it's not unusual for them. It is good that they're kind of looking into the parking and protecting the residents. But it also is a much needed and largely desired upgrade for that area that they've been trying to do for years to figure out ways they're building and outdoor art and walk and jog paths. So you got to figure that hopefully there's a lasting positive that comes from this.
No, you're exactly right. And that was one of the things that they mentioned during this press conference, is that the work that is being done right now, yes, it's starting off because of what's going to be coming here with the Fan Fest. But they said that's just kind of part one to an ongoing work that they're going to do in this area. So they said that this is kind of like one of the first or second phases, part one, part two. But this is going to be a situation where the folks here at Lemon Hill are going to, the folks that live around Lemon Hill, they're going to be able to reap the benefits of the work that's being done, the new sidewalks, everything. They are really just going to revamp this area. They were talking about with the playground area over there, they're also going to revamp that. So one of the good things out of this is that this work that they're doing, it's not just for FIFA and then all of a sudden it's just going to go back to the way that it is. These types of fixes that they're going to do, these improvements are going to last, the test of time, Bill.
Yeah, and that, again, that is something that hopefully, and we've heard the mayor talk about this, and I'm sure you heard it at the press conference today. I mean, it's down here in Old City. There's been significant development. There's been major construction. There have been some pretty significant inconveniences, but even after everything that happens this summer in America 250, those things remain. And hopefully that's what's going on as it goes out into the neighborhoods as well. And it sounds like that's what they're doing.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I feel like with a lot of these assignments, because I've been doing stories about, the FIFA World Cup coming, and you see all of these improvements that are going on. I mean, it was not too long ago, was doing a story about Market East. Then I did another story about SEPTA Transit improving because of the FIFA World Cup. And every single time that I did a story and I spoke with officials, my biggest question was, when this is all said and done, past 2026, are these improvements going to remain? In a lot of the folks promise that this is a situation where, yes, we're doing these upgrades and we're making these improvements for the World Cup, but they promise that this is going to continue on, and this is just kind of a part of, kind of jump-starting a lot of the improvements that they already want to have in place for the city of Philadelphia. So, I mean, I hope, and I know a lot of Philadelphians and a lot of people across the region hope that these folks stand by their promise, because you're already seeing the changes. I mean, I was just going into work, passing through Old City, and I'm seeing transit police that are just outside of the subway stops, being there on patrol. So you see the improvements happening. It's just you hope that they continue on once 2026 wraps up.
It sounds like they will. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate it. We'll hear more from you in the news. I'll talk to you at 4 o'clock. Keep us posted on all the things that are going on there. And the area Greg's talking about, I mean, if you're familiar, it's not too far from the Smith Playground is right over there. Like there are places that they've been trying to develop for years. And so this kind of influx of money and investment hopefully continues that development that they're looking for. Where are we going, Caitlin? We're going back to Denver as they continue to kind of go through the process of what happens to the legacy of Cesar Chavez after some shocking allegations were released in an in-depth report yesterday.
Sí se puede, say it. Sí se puede, say it. Sí se puede. One more time. Sí se puede. Thank you.
The President and I are happy to take a couple of questions if folks have them, or if there are community leaders who you want to ask as well. Yes, ma'am. Sí, gracias. Hoy anunciamos unos cambios aquí en Denver sobre la holiday de Cesar Chavez, y es importante que gente saben dos cosas. La primera es que vamos a cambiar el nombre de los parques y otras cosas aquí que tiene su nombre, pero también vamos a quedar comitados a este movimiento y vamos a apoyar a toda la gente y a lo más las mujeres y niñas que pelearon para avanzar esa causa.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break and then we will come back and continue on. These types of announcements and pressers and discussions are going on all over the country, and there is still more, so we will check in with all of them. Just stay put. If it's live, we will have it here on Fox Local and all streaming platforms. Be right back. 1246 Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. And outside, we have been dealing with all kinds of crazy and extreme weather over the last several weeks. So taking a look around our area, actually, all things considered, it's going pretty well. Scott, Kathy, Sue, Drew, the whole Weather Authority have pointed out that we are trying to level off. So we've had extreme cold, snowstorms, ice storms. We had record-breaking heat last week, and now we're trying to settle into what we're supposed to be dealing with this time of year, and that is right about where we are now, 40s, 50s, nothing super extreme, and hopefully we can get to that point. We will get you updated on weather throughout the day as well. We just showed you what's going on with the stock market, the challenges that are going on there. Numbers continue to decline throughout the day. We also have kept you updated on everything happening with the conflict in Iran and oil prices, and that is translating directly to our gas prices, the challenges that we are facing. Jana Tidwell from AAA is here. Jana, I don't want to put you on the spot by saying tell me something good, because as it relates to gas prices, it's not good right now.
Bill, I wish I had something good to tell you, but it is not good news right now for motorists who have undoubtedly felt the pain at the pump, as many people are saying, since the conflict in Iran began. It's the crude oil price that is driving the price of gasoline. Anytime crude oil prices are impacted, gas prices soar because 50 to 60% of a gallon of gasoline is made up of crude oil. So with the Strait of Hormuz, for all intents and purposes, shut down, that area controls 20% of the crude oil globally, none of which is imported by the United States, but this is having a ripple effect globally, nonetheless.
So, I mean, the challenge with something like this, and you explained the why. President Trump, we were just watching a press conference, and he was talking about how well we're doing, how we have control of it, how partners are jumping in to support. But there's not really any relief until it is freely open, is there?
It doesn't seem that way as of right now. There are so many variables at play here. It's the opening of the strait. It's how high will crude oil prices go, and for how long will those high prices be sustained? Because that has that trickle over effect to gas prices. So with those variables at play, it is really hard to predict where we're going in terms of gas prices and for how long. But what most people are asking, and it's almost inevitable at this point, will we see $4 per gallon? And I think with a lot of certainty, we're going to say yes. Here in the Philly 5-county area, we're sitting at $3.92 per gallon today. And with overnight increases, we will likely see $4 in the next couple of days here locally.
Can you, and I don't know if this is your expertise, but I'm going to ask anyway, because I'm always confused by the overnight increases. Like for the most part, they've already purchased their supply, right? So why are they increasing day to day?
They have already purchased their supply, but the pricing you see at the pump is the pricing that is set to purchase the next supply, knowing that the price of crude oil has increased and the gasoline price will be increased as well. So yes, the gasoline is there right now. We've seen increases day over day, night after night. And that is because the price you see at the pump when you pull up today is set to purchase the next shipment of gasoline.
Okay, so the best that we can do, and you always give us tips, right now we can't change the price that's coming in. We don't know when it's going to start flowing freely again. We can, check our tire pressure, not carry around larger loads? Like, what are the things that we can do in the interim?
Yeah, Bill, I wish we had a silver bullet, but we don't. The things that you mentioned definitely help you maximize a tank of gasoline. Continue to perform routine maintenance. That helps fuel efficiency. That includes the oil changes, the filter changes, checking the tire pressure. Cleaning out the car, getting the junk out of the trunk. The heavier your car is, the more gas it takes to move. So clean out everything and anything that you're not using. At this point, we probably don't need that rock salt and kitty litter in the back anymore as we head to spring. So get that out, lighten up the load a little bit, consolidate your trips, your errands. Carpooling is always a viable option. Driving at the speed limit will help you maximize fuel efficiency. If you're speeding, if you're going over the speed limit, you may get to your destination a few minutes or seconds sooner, but you're going to burn more gas in doing that. So, those few things alone, again, no silver bullet, but will help you maximize each tank of gas.
And then finally, one more question, because we're in that season of spring break. I was looking at, I actually have a trip planned, thankfully already planned, but flights are ridiculous for a lot of reasons, TSA challenges and what have you. Gas prices are going up as your alternative. So are we seeing more people taking to the road? I don't know if that's a better alternative than flying at this point, or are we all just kind of remaining steady in terms of numbers opting to drive?
As you mentioned, many people who had planned to travel for spring break by air have already booked their air travel. Those that want to book last minute will certainly feel the effects of the increase in jet fuel prices reflected in ticket prices currently. However, those who are taking the road trip, travel is a personal decision and a personal choice. There are folks who have endured a very long, cold winter who are not willing to give up that spring break road trip and who will travel for spring break. And what we've seen in the past is people don't want to give up that travel, but they will make concessions in other areas, meaning they may stay at a less expensive hotel. They may consider cooking in instead of dining out just to make sure they can enjoy a getaway that's already been planned. Or if those who planned that car trip, that road trip, decide to cancel, there are fewer hoops you have to jump through, if you will. You have much more flexibility with a road trip than you would canceling air travel.
Yeah, I'm looking at, we have an interactive map of the surrounding areas from you, actually. So thank you for that. And there is, a lot of times, there are pretty significant differences. Like people, if they are out and about shopping in New Jersey, then it makes sense to fill up your tank there. I'm looking at the numbers right now, at least on the surface, and it doesn't seem like the differences are as significant as they've been in the past. Like, is there still that benefit to being in certain areas, or have extremely high prices just kind of leveled everything off?
It's not necessarily leveled off, but prices are high everywhere you look. There are some differentiating factors, and this time of year, sadly, is the time where cyclically we already see an increase in gas prices. As demand increases, so does the price of gas. Winter, we feel like it just melted 2 weeks ago. So folks are willing to get out. They want to get out. So demand is increasing the price. In the next few weeks, we'll see the switch over to summer blended gasoline. Although I believe that the EPA we've held off on that now. They're going to continue with winter blended gasoline in the short term, just so we don't see that 10 to 15 cent per gallon increase again in the short term. But locally, what AAA has always said, it is not worth driving a significant amount of time away from, say, your home base where you work, where you live, to save a few cents per gallon in filling up, because you're only burning that gas to get to what you might think is cheaper gas. But if you happen to be in Delaware, if you happen to be in New Jersey, where we all know they pump it for you, it might make sense to fill up there to save a few pennies. Pennsylvania is always the highest gas price in the tri-state area because our state gas tax is the highest in the area. So if you find yourself somewhere and it looks a few cents cheaper in a neighboring state, that would be the time to gas up. But I will tell you, pay attention to exactly how low those prices are, because if it looks too good to be true, if you don't necessarily recognize the name of the gas station where you're considering filling up, and the price is significantly lower than what you've seen, always best to err on the side of caution and wait till you can fill up at a reputable place.
Janet Tidwell, thank you very much. I appreciate you always. We'll check in with you again soon. I'm embarrassed to admit that I had to have a conversation with someone and reminding them that you are not saving money driving to Jersey if you have to pay the toll to go to Jersey when you come back just to go and get gas. So as she pointed out, if you're going to be there, fine. That makes sense. But this is showing you the map we were just talking about. It shows you that there are some differences. They are probably not, as Jana pointed out, significant enough that it makes sense for you to drive large numbers of miles, or large distances, I should say, to save a couple of pennies or 10 cents or pay tolls or what have you. None of that makes a lot of sense if the numbers are not that different. All right, it's Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Going to take a break, and then we will continue on. Okay, so we've got more press conferences taking place. There are events going on all over the country. We've got reporters who will update us, and continuing to look at them, looking off to the side because we've got the stock market up in one of the monitors over there, so continuing to look at those numbers decline. We'll be right back. Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Just about 1 o'clock, Philadelphia Live on Fox Local and all streaming platforms. When I say that, we're up on the Fox 29 TikTok page, on the Facebook page, on the YouTube page, and there are some pretty active discussions going on in those rooms. So if you are interested, you can jump on as well. Give us a follow, Fox 29 Philly. I'm at Bill A. Fox 29. We always appreciate your interaction. Also, let's take a look around the country, some of the things going on. So that bottom corner, that is a press conference happening in LA. Mayor Bass and other individuals who will be there talking about, again, the legacy of Cesar Chavez, what that means for things that have been named after him, by him, for him before he passed, a pretty significant number of them. So they're discussing what comes next. The upper corner is a press conference we're expecting from New York Mayor Mondami. Now, we don't know exactly what that one's going to be. They have sent out a notice that there is a significant announcement that is coming. We are waiting for that to happen. You can see that there are a pretty significant group of people who have all kind of congregated there together, awaiting his arrival. So we will try to get into both of those pressers in just a moment. But first, we want to check in with our Kelly Rule, who's been following a story that has had a lot of people, Kelly, kind of interested. It has gone viral. People were looking for answers. All last night, we were listening in live to a council hearing in Derby about what comes next with this crossing guard who was assaulted. And where do we stand today?
Yeah. So today we are waiting for an update from police. You'll recall during that meeting, or maybe it was after the meeting last night, that the police chief did say that they expect to have an update today. This is something they've been working on around the clock since Monday. We know that they identified the car that this individual was in. So we're hoping to have something here soon. But like you said, this is a video that went viral. I think everyone's talking about it. If you got to see pieces of that meeting last night, you could see how tense it got. There are people in the community that are scared and frustrated and wanted an update and really didn't get one or much of one yesterday. So that's what we're hoping to get today. Again, we're back at 6 and Walnut Streets where this all happened Monday. Also looking for an update on how the guard is doing. I know as of Tuesday, she was dealing with some injuries and, is expected to physically be okay, but was still shaken up. And they had since replaced her with another guard out here, and it's unclear if and when she'd be returning back to work. We did just learn that Derby used to, hire their own crossing guards, and they would work with the school district in doing so. But just this year, they started using an outside agency to employ crossing guards here in the borough. So we did reach out to that nonprofit that does that, and we're hoping to hear back from them soon too to get a little more information, at least on how the guard's doing.
So the police commissioner, as you pointed out, chief of police, did say last night that they would have more information today. So as soon as you get that, we will check back in with you, Kelly, and I obviously will see you at 4 o'clock as well. But keep us posted.
I will. I'm hoping to have much more by 4 o'clock for sure.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Kelly Rule out there checking in on that story that has gone viral and has everybody talking. We mentioned the press conference coming from New York's mayor. That is underway, so let's find out together what this big breaking news is.
Councilmember Yusuf Salam, Councilmember Alexa Aviles, and Councilmember Shahana Hanif. And a special shout out as well to all of the advocates, community leaders, and CMS groups who are gathered with us here today. It is an immense privilege to serve the people of New York City as their mayor, to strive every day to build a city that is more affordable, that is fairer, that is happier and healthier. As we seek to fulfill the public's trust, we do so with a top priority that does not waver: ensuring that every New Yorker is safe in the city that they love. It is that commitment to a safe New York City that brings us together today as we make a groundbreaking announcement, one that fulfills the change that more than 1 million New Yorkers voted for, and one that will allow this city to approach public safety with the seriousness, innovation, and commitment it deserves. I am proud that shortly I will be signing an executive order to create the Office of Community Safety, the first major step towards building the Department of Community Safety. This executive order will appoint not only a commissioner of the Office of Community Safety, centralizing existing public safety agencies under the jurisdiction of the OCS, agencies which include the Office of Crime Victim Services, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, the Office to End Domestic and Gender-Based Violence, the Office for the Prevention of Hate Crimes, and the Office of Community Mental Health. It will also be a part of an announcement that I am delighted to make this afternoon, which is that Renita Francois will serve as New York City's first ever deputy mayor. I didn't even get to finish her title. She will be New York City's first ever Deputy Mayor of Community Safety. And Bernita's commitment to justice began in her childhood in South Central LA, continued in her early career working in Brooklyn Family Court, and has been guided by the many years she has spent trying to transform both the way that government approaches public safety and the outcomes it can deliver. Over the past 4 years, Bernita has helped guide the work of Beyond Impact, formerly known as Tides Advocacy, a nonprofit dedicated to advancing social change. Before that, for nearly 7 years, from 2015 until 2022, Bernita worked in the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice, helping to lead the Mayor's Action Plan for Neighborhood Safety. The Mayor's Action Plan for Neighborhood Safety represented a precursor to much of the work that Bernita will now lead as the Deputy Mayor overseeing the Office of Community Safety. As the Deputy Director and later the Executive Director of that, Bernita sought to improve safety across our city with community-driven solutions, violence reduction, and intra-agency coordination. This was a demanding role with immense responsibility, both in terms of the hundreds of millions of dollars in investments that Bernita oversaw and the expectations that New Yorkers placed in her to make our city one where they were safe and knew that they were when they would let their children play outside, or take the subway at night, or walk the halls of their public housing development. Those expectations remain front of mind for millions of New Yorkers who call this city their home. And they will be what I turn to Bernita to fulfill. As Bernita leads as our Deputy Mayor and oversees the Office of Community Safety, she will have a clear purpose: to deploy effective evidence-based solutions that target the root causes of violence so that no New Yorker falls through the cracks.
That's right.
For too long, we have approached crime and safety by placing only ever-expanding expectations on the police department as we have asked them to address every failure of our social safety net.
That's right.
Crime is one of the most complex issues we face, and yet our city's approach for far too long has been to rely on a patchwork of programs to deal with interconnected problems. No longer can we sustain a cobbled-together approach to an issue of such immense importance. We must instead pursue a whole-of-government model, one where our strategies are centralized and implemented with coordination and at scale, and one which a deputy mayor oversees. Yeah. This will demand a multifaceted approach to a wide array of challenges across the city. It will require ambition, compassion, and competence. And I am lucky because I can think of no one better prepared to deliver exactly that and assume exactly this responsibility than Bernita. I want to speak about some of the areas where the OCS will lead. The Office of Community Safety will house 3 divisions: the Division of Neighborhood Safety, the Division of Community Mental Health, and the Division of Strategic Initiatives. First, the Division of Neighborhood Safety will focus on violence prevention and victim support. It will oversee violence prevention, hate crime prevention, domestic and gender-based violence prevention, and it will also provide survivor services. By centralizing that work within the same division, we will be able to bring unprecedented strategic focus to preventing violence in this city. The Division of Neighborhood Safety will also confront the pernicious scourge of gun violence, which has stolen the lives of far too many of our fellow New Yorkers. As part of the executive order that I will be signing shortly, the Commissioner of OCS will serve as the chair of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. The OCS will invest in the community-based violence interruption programs that have a proven record of success, and it will expand the crisis management system. I am honored to have leaders within CMS here with me today. So many New Yorkers
Mayor Mamdani's big announcement was that he is going to focus on community safety, going to try to make New Yorkers feel more safe, accessibility and what have you, accountability, and he has appointed a deputy mayor to focus on all of that. He is explaining her role, the things that she will be focusing on in the near future. We're going to take a quick break. I don't know if you can see right here over my shoulder, but our sports director, Scott Grayson, in the building. March Madness has gotten started. We got some of our teams are playing.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. I mean, we're national, so I guess somebody's team is playing, but I'm talking about Philly, so stay tuned. Philadelphia Live, Fox Local 114. As I said, Scott Grayson in the building because there's a lot going on in sports. It's a fun time.
It's a busy week. It is. March Madness is always great. Everybody loves to fill out the brackets, whether you know what you're doing or not, right?
Yeah,
and then beyond that, I mean, we got the Philly season opener is a week away from today.
Wow. Okay.
You've got all kinds. You know, Howie Roseman is wheeling and dealing left and right. So the Eagles are in the news. It is a busy time.
So we'll start with it's March Madness.
Yes.
People right now are risking their jobs, sitting at work,
With
watching
the game
games
on.
all day.
Yeah, 2 are playing right now.
Okay, so they go pretty much all day today, tomorrow, into the weekend.
The best time of the tournament is today and tomorrow, and then even through the weekend. But you've got, I believe it's 16 games today and 16 tomorrow. Starting at noon, going clear up. Probably the last game will end after midnight. Or around there. So you've got, Penn, for example, doesn't play till 9:25 tonight.
Okay.
And that's only if the games before it don't get backed up by overtime. Yeah. So, the magic is here. There have been great moments that happened here in Philly. Christian Laettner back in 1992 hitting that one turnaround buzzer beater for Duke. That happened here in Philly. It's a great time.
So you're going down, you're talking to some of the players, and coaches and what have you. So you're going to be down in it and bringing the reports back to us.
I'm going to try, yeah. I'm going down there a little bit later. The practices are already going on right now, free if you're looking to go down and watch some basketball right there at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. The teams are practicing right now. You can see them out there. And I'm going to go down and talk to Mike Nardi, who's an assistant coach with UConn. He played at Villanova, great player, did a lot, helped Jay Wright with his coaching staff here after he was done playing. So he's now with UConn. So there's something you might want to root for if you want. That means you have to root for UConn, which might be hard for Nova fans. But, Penn's out of here. Nova's not here. So we don't want to ignore what's happening in our own backyard.
I feel like watching the NCAA tournament, the stories kind of evolve. Like, it's tough to pick a kid. Like, I was asking, is there anyone you're watching? But we end up finding some 5'9" shooter from someplace you've never heard of who drops 40 on a powerhouse.
Well, a guy who made it Power. I'm going to play on that real quick.
There you go.
TJ Power with Penn really made a name for himself in that championship game victory for Penn in overtime. 44 points. I was doing a little homework on him. This guy's a great shooter from behind the arc. So the key tonight, if you're looking for something to watch in the Penn game, is watch TJ Power. Illinois certainly knows who he is. I doubt they're going to let him get an open look, but if Penn can find ways to get him some open looks from behind the arc, that could be a way that they stay in this game and make it interesting down the stretch. Penn has won their last 2 games in overtime, so if they can make it close down the stretch, they're no strangers to that. And that's what you love in this tournament, right? The upsets, the underdogs, everybody loves to root for them.
I think it's also fun because people like that, and I don't know about his future or even his desires, but if you can shoot, then NBA teams will take a look at you.
Yes.
And so you've got guys in this tournament who are pulling up from 5 feet behind 3, and you never knew anything about them. You know, people are like,
well, you know, I'll give you
a shooter.
Absolutely, but I mean, Steph Curry really helped himself because of the NCAA tournament. Everybody saw what a great shooter he was. He was at Davidson back before Davidson was
too small.
Was all like,
they said he couldn't defend.
Nope.
Not sure he's a player, but certainly not sure he's a star on the next level, and but maybe the best shooter ever.
Yeah, if he was on the floor, no matter where he was, he could make it from half court, and he showed that off in the tournament.
Good for him. All right. So we talked about that, the tournament. Just watch all day. Try not to get fired, but we will keep you updated on all that kind of stuff. The Eagles signed a coach. No, so the Eagles signed, I mean, and Andy Dalton used to be able to play. Like, he was a solid quarterback. He's probably still a solid backup. But why, if Philly has this love affair with Tanner McKee?
That's what I asked myself when I saw it. I'm like, okay, but why? I would answer that by saying this. As I looked into it, the Eagles gave up a 7th-round pick, virtually got Andy Dalton for free. So then you add him to the mix, and what it does is it makes Tanner McKee maybe expendable. So that, you know, how he loves to do this, right? If some team out there in the preseason suffers an injury to a quarterback, people like Tanner McKee.
Yep. And will overpay if they have an injury.
Perhaps with an injury, yes. So I think that's what it was done for strategically. It makes Tanner McKee, I think, movable. I don't think you're going to move Andy Dalton. But you look at the formula for this team in the past, I mean, Howie Roseman likes to have experienced quarterbacks as backups. Kenny Pickett was that when he was here. Joe Flacco briefly. But then you look at Nick Foles was an experienced quarterback. And look what happened by having that. Now, what I would say is Jalen Hurts and Andy Dalton couldn't be more different. Complete opposite quarterbacks. You know, Jalen's mobile. Andy Dalton is not that. Jalen's more, you know, going to make his game happen that way, getting out of the pocket and making throws. Andy Dalton's going to step back, put his foot down, and throw the ball. I know people have maybe been looking for a little bit of that, but he's also a 15-year vet or something like that. So
38,
you know,
39, something
AARP
like that.
Isn't far away, you know, and I'm saying that. So, yeah, that's what they got. I think why is a great question, and perhaps we'll get a better answer to that as time goes on.
Before we take a break, the World Baseball Classic, and I'm curious because one of the things that's now going viral is they lose the game, obviously. Bryce has his big moment that hopefully gets him started, but they lose the game.
Right.
And then, depending on who you believe, they either took off the silver medals, they didn't want to be associated with the silver medals. One, are you buying it? I mean, we saw them take it off.
Yes.
But it just feels real kind of petty sour grapes, or is it just this is nothing to us, we wanted to win?
It was something to me. I took that away. I mean, Kyle Schwarber within 10 seconds took it off.
Yeah.
Then you have to put yourself in his shoes. What a game. What a run they went on. And in that moment, you have to be forced to stay out on the field. Right. I mean, when a team loses the World Series, or when Orion Kirkering threw that ball away, they were able to go back, get off the field, and deal with those emotions.
Right.
Kyle Schwarber had to stay out there. Other guys had to stay out there to get that medal, which I'm sure down the road will mean something to them. In that moment, they wanted the other medal. I also, in the same breath, will commend Bryce Harper for staying out there and congratulating all the Venezuela guys. I thought that was great sportsmanship from a guy who's a bit of a role model, certainly around here. The home run you mentioned was iconic, and it's what Bryce has done. Was it elite? Was it a big moment? Yes.
Yeah.
Can he do more of that this season? Will be fun to watch here. But I thought in those moments you saw great contrasts of how those guys had to deal with it. And I think, to be fair to them, in that moment, that's tough. That's tough to have to be forced to stay out there, get your medal, and be happy about it.
I think it's an interesting point. I don't know, maybe it's a fantastic sports show question or something like that, because it is not wanting a second place medal is what makes all of those guys who they are. I mean, they're motivational speakers. You either win or you lose. Like, all of that mindset is what they're constantly hammering into people, and that's what makes you the best.
That's a great point.
So then you demonstrate it by, I just think publicly it doesn't go over well, but the whole concept of, oh, we're number 2.
Right.
Like, if you believe you're the best, that's not something you're celebrating.
No, you don't want to settle for that in that moment. And look, a lot of the players, and you can dive deeper into it, right? A lot of the players are having to deal with, well, it was a tie game, why didn't they pitch Mason Miller? Well, because the Padres said he could only go in and save situations. Other pitchers were unusable because their major league team said you can't use him here. That was a great game. It was like game 7 of a World Series. And there should be no restrictions in that moment.
Yeah.
And I know that's the way fans feel, but you know, I'll give you this, Bill. You know, you get high school teams out there who get to a state championship game. They don't win. They have to stay out there and get the medal. Now, people get all over them if they act the way some of those USA guys did. But you're right. They're driven to win. They don't want to settle for second best.
Right.
And they were forced in that moment very publicly to deal with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was curious. Maybe I'll make it a social media question. I'm curious what people think about it, because I didn't know how to respond. Like, it didn't feel right, but I also get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It doesn't feel good to see that, because it's not teaching kids how to deal with disappointment perhaps the best way. Now, they didn't like throw it, you know, they didn't like spike it into the ground and stuff like that. But you know, but they did have to deal with that moment publicly, as opposed to, I mean, maybe you can get to the point where you give them these medals behind the scenes. Does everybody need to see the silver? All they want to see is the gold.
I don't know. Because if it's not the U.S., you're celebrating the silver. Like, if you're a team, like most of the other teams there are kind of like, okay, like, we got a silver medal. That's not what they came there for.
No, that's not what they came there for. And I wouldn't expect them to be happy about that in that moment. I think as they, like, maybe, you know, you see them at spring training now and it's like, hey, what a run. Bryce, great home run. He's probably like, yeah, wish we would have won gold, but. And they're handling it a little better. They've had time to decompress from it. In that moment, well, I mean, what an environment. You know, when Bryce hit that home run, you see different angles, and the way the stands just erupt reminds me of some of what happened here in the World Series run and all that kind of stuff. Bedlam at the bank. What an environment, and they had to deal with the disappointment of losing in the top of the ninth. You know, that's rough.
That's rough, and not sure that you gave it your best, because you couldn't put your best out there.
Exactly. That certainly was probably bothering some of them.
All right, so sports will break all of this down. The Fantastic Sports Show will break all of this down. We've got a Phillies preview special that's coming up on Friday that you guys went down and had a little chat at Citizens Bank Park. So we got a lot going on in sports. Appreciate you stopping in.
Oh, no problem. Love it.
All right, and go watch some NCAA. Just don't get in trouble. Quick break, and we'll be right back. Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. There's the bank. What, a week?
A week.
1 week
before
they
today.
get started. All right, stay tuned. Philadelphia Live on Fox Local as we take a look at Citizens Bank Park. I'm sitting here in the studio listening to One Shining Moment as you get ready for the NCAA tournament. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to play it, so I probably should turn it down. But that is the moment that people look for as the NCAA tournament continues on. So we got games in Philadelphia. It's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, as we pointed out, there is a hearing going on in California, or a discussion going on in California. Same topic, Cesar Chavez, the impact that his legacy should now have after some shocking allegations and a report that came out yesterday. Let's listen in.
Contributions of Latino leaders is actually far more immense than just Cesar Chavez. Sadly, it's just never been recognized. And so for the, so much of the accomplishments and achievements that have occurred in our community have been such a struggle to get any level of recognition or attention of any equal footing, even if you look at the representation on the council. I'm the third Latina ever in the history of LA to serve on the council. When you think about the struggle of what it has endured for our community to even just be recognized for some basic fundamental achievements, I think it's important for us to reflect on all of our contributions in all of its forms. And so as we reconcile this, I think certainly everyone makes positive contributions to help advance a movement, but we also have to really reflect on what we really uplift and celebrate as a city and recognize given these new revelations. But I think we're working here to ground ourselves in the real purpose of what this was all about. And it was about the rights of farm workers who continued to labor in the fields, feed this country, feed this nation, and trying to get them the rights and the respect and the wages that they deserved. And what I'm saying in this moment, that's what I don't want anyone to forget, because that struggle continues. And the assaults on on our community that is out there doing that work, they still struggle to get that respect. And so that's where I think we're all coming from, a place of making sure that no one gets distracted on the importance of maintaining our focus on advocating for their needs.
Before we conclude, let me ask Councilwoman Padilla.
I just want to remind everyone, appreciate the questions related to how we're going to move forward with the fact that we have elevated him, through the naming of some of our public spaces. And also for hearing about how what we really care about and want to emphasize that it is what is important is the legacy of the work and the legacy of the workers. But also we would be remiss if we also didn't take this opportunity to reiterate that this is also a time in history where we need to challenge and tell everyone that we cannot let this happen again. So to the grandfathers, to the fathers, to the uncles, to the cousins, to everyone, men, we need your help to help us create a better generation of leaders and of a different type of a society where we protect women, we protect children, help us raise better boys, help us raise strong girls, where we remind this next generation that no authority, whether it is a teacher, a doctor, a coach, or an elected official, or any kind of leader, has the right to hurt women and children and create victims that cannot say anything because of that power struggle of what position they are in. So please, we ask that this be a lesson for all of us to work to make society better when it comes to this. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
It is 1:31 here, Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. So that was just a press conference in LA. We saw one earlier in Denver. They're happening all over the country after a 2-year investigation into the life of civil rights leader, union and labor leader Cesar Chavez. Apparently uncovered some pretty serious allegations of sexual abuse. We're going to move on to something that we were showing you a little bit earlier. It was Mayor Mamdani going on in New York. They are talking about public safety, appointing new people to these positions, and that press conference continues.
As Police Commissioner Tisch said today, keeping New Yorkers safe requires more than one approach. And it is indicative of our city government's belief that if we want to keep New Yorkers safe, we have to also ensure that we are not just asking police officers to respond to every single issue that comes as a result of the fraying of the social safety net. Today, officers receive, I'll just say quickly, today officers have to handle 200,000 mental health calls a year. That is not a system that is working. Today marks the end of that. Thank you.
Let's go ahead then, Henry. You're touching on what I was going to ask you about, which is there are about 500 calls a day for mental health crises, roughly 200,000 a year. So what, if anything, that you've announced today will divert some of those away from police? I'm just trying to get to the heart of how many will no longer be handled by police. How many more will no longer be handled by police under what you've announced?
So our deputy mayor will oversee policy implementation, reform, and expansion of Be Heard to ensure that when New Yorkers are in a mental health crisis, they will actually receive the care that they need and that their only option is not simply a police response. The importance of that is that today there are a number of calls that come in that are deemed to be eligible for a Be Heard response, but there is simply not the capacity with which to create that. And so what we will find under this deputy mayor is what it looks like when city government actually is willing to invest, not just financially, but also politically, in this as a method of response. And through that, we will find the exact numbers of the ways in which we will finally be delivering this in a way that it's not today.
Henry, go ahead.
Hi, Mayor. You're appointing the first African-American deputy mayor to your team today. It comes on a day when there was a small protest outside Gracie Mansion. I don't know if you're up to speed on this or not, but the Reverend Kevin McCall said, and I want to read the quote so I'm correct, "It seems like the mayor cares about other groups, but not black people," referencing a lack of comment on the Bronx shooting involving an off-duty officer. Do you have a comment on that shooting and on the accusation made today outside of Gracie?
So I'll say that I'm incredibly troubled by the incident, and I'm glad that the NYPD is investigating it. The officer has been suspended in the interim. And what I want to say is that this will be a city that cares for each and every person that calls it home. And we know that for far too long, we have not recognized the fact that black history and New York City history are one and the same. You cannot tell one without the other. I may stand here before you as a first of many things. I'm proud, however, to stand here as the second Democratic Socialist to serve as the mayor of this city, following our city's first ever black mayor, David Dinkins. And I also want to say something very clearly, which is that we are excited to finally deliver a city that can show in its outcomes the fact that it values each and every person who calls it home.
Yeah. Hi, Mayor.
Hi, sir.
I had two quick questions. One was, typically deputy mayors have larger portfolios. I was wondering if you could just talk about the decision to have this deputy mayor, and congratulations, by the way, having a portfolio of this size. And also, I know you're still going through budget negotiations, so you probably don't have a number or one that you're going to say publicly, but if there's like any light you could shed on the size of the budget that this office will have once you go through the executive negotiations.
It is a budget that will increase. I can tell you that when it comes. And I say that as a commitment because Renita's joining of our team is one that we want to ensure is coupled with the kind of support necessary to make this a successful endeavor in our city. And the scope of the work, it is to bring together agencies that have for far too long been disparate. They have lived within different portfolios, different offices, different organizational charts, separated from the very kind of work that should be binding it together. Right. And our city, to put it plainly, has not suffered from a lack of ideas. It has suffered from a lack of political will.
That's right.
And today what we are doing is what we spoke about on the campaign, bringing these different offices, these different divisions within one. And I will also say that this is the start. That's correct. The start of a work that will only continue in its importance. And I am so excited for this homecoming.
Congratulations to the new deputy mayor as well. I'm wondering, this is a big day. You're going to sign this executive order.
It is 1:37. It's Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Taking a look at this press conference, Mayor Mamdani announcing plans for a deputy mayor, historic appointment to try to provide public safety. Also an African-American woman, apparently a first in that position. And so we're listening in on that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. There is so much more we're going to get to here with you until 2 o'clock on Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. It is just about 1:40. We're here for another 20 minutes getting caught up on all the things that are taking place. And one of the things that we have been following and watching closely is stock market. That has been in a pretty consistent decline. It actually has gotten worse since we last looked, almost down a full percentage point, 400 plus points so far today. That's on the heels of about 700 yesterday. It is a tough situation to figure out what direction this is going to continue to go. It is largely impacted by the situation that's going on with Iran and oil, gas prices, and all of that. Also, it is causing problems with the ability to kind of access, is causing problems with transportation costs, which is then impacting several different aspects of our economy. This is a look at an interactive map provided by AAA that shows the gas prices all over the area, the places that you can go if you are looking for some specific deals. But as Jana Tidwell shared with us a little bit earlier on, it's a challenging situation because the numbers are not that different. So if you were somebody who happened to be in a location where they just happen to have lower prices, then maybe that makes sense to you. But to go looking for them, it is not enough of a significant difference, as you see as we kind of move around the area on that map. Like, you're talking about best case scenario, maybe 10 cents or so, and in most circumstances it is not even that. So we continue to kind of keep track of that and the impact that it's having on the economy. Also, a press conference that we're expecting, and let's take a look at it. They're not ready yet, so let's hold off on the sound, but we're expecting this press conference to happen momentarily. And this is a press conference with Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner. They do updates on crime and the things that are taking place. It looks like they are just about ready to start as everyone is getting into position. So let's listen in. Let's see if they're ready.
Simply put, we are today excited and encouraged to see that our gun violence task force, working in conjunction with PPD and our other criminal justice partners, has made yet another major bust of people who have engaged in shooting other human beings. This is an arrest that we are confident is, along with these other arrests, going to continue to make Philadelphia safer. It is going, as the seasons warm up, as it gets warmer out there, it is going to make it easier for kids to play in the street and grandparents to sit on their porches. And that is a very, very encouraging thing. I want to start out by referencing some of the good people who are here. We have with us ADA Bill Fritzy, who is the chief of the DAO's Gun Violence Task Force, ADA Adam Ferre, who is in the DAO's Gun Violence Task Force, is here as well. We have ADA Catherine Remy, who also works in the task force. Tania Leonard, who's the director of the DAO's CARES unit, is with us. Mariel Dela Cruz, director of the DAO's Victim Services unit, is here. Donna Woods, director of our relocation unit, which protects witnesses when that is necessary. Guillermo Ruiz, who is a peer crisis responder in our CARES unit, a unit that, as you know, provides specialized services to the families of people lost in homicides, especially in the first 45 days. We have Detective Kelly Gallagher with us, and we have some criminal analysts who have done amazing things, and also a representative of the DIVIC. Actually, we have two detectives. Let me correct myself. We have Detective Kelly Gallagher with us. We also have Detective John Anselmo with us. We have a couple of criminal analysts who do this work, and they are Amanda McCourty and Ashley Waples. And last but never least, from DVIC, we have Rashawn Simmons. And I want to thank all of you for the incredible work that is being done collectively that relies so heavily on deep dive investigations, forensics, effective cooperation in some instances to put these cases together to make sure that we get the people who committed the crimes and we don't sweep up the people who didn't. In a moment, I'm going to call up a few of them to speak, but let me just say this. Even though today's press conference is about something horrifying, it is human beings, often young ones, shooting and killing others, this is actually a very hopeful day. It is an optimistic day, and it's a day that points towards community healing. We know on the one hand the good news, which is that on this date we have 20 homicides, and that is about half of the lowest numbers of homicides that we have seen on the same date in other years. About half. It's actually jaw-dropping. But that doesn't change the fact that 20 families lost their loved one, and they will be traumatized for, in many instances, the rest of their lives, regardless of what we do to try to help them. And it doesn't change the fact that when you're winning, you got to keep pushing. And that is what we are all trying to do here together with our partners. We are trying to drive these homicide numbers, these shooting numbers, the number of shooting victims, drive them as low as we possibly can while we focus simultaneously on other criminal activity. And this is part of how the work gets done. It is these deep dive investigations that do not chip away at the edges of these criminal organizations, but take them down in big chunks and sometimes completely. We have talked about this kind of success previously when we spoke about YBC, the Young Bag Chasers, or as I like to say, you've been convicted. We've talked about it previously when we talked about O to the 4, or as somebody said, O to the 4 is going to go to the jail. We've spoken about that. Well, this is a situation in which we have a different group, in fact, 4 different groups. ADA Bill Fritzie is going to talk in more detail about it, but these groups include the senders, and I'll tell you a different way to think about that at the end. They include P&B. We'll come up with a different way to think about that at the end too. 7th Street and CRG, which stands for Close Range Gang. These are the groups that are being brought in. These are the groups that are going to be brought to justice, and it is their crimes that are being solved and are going to be prosecuted in this process. At this time, I'm going to call up, in the following order, 3 people to speak before we do Q&A. They are ADA Bill Fritzie, who may invite some of his colleagues up first. Second will be Mariel de la Cruz. And third, either with Mariel or after Mariel, will be Guillermo Ruiz. After that, we'll go straight to Q&A. ADA Bill Fritzie.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a rough morning for those who choose to pick up guns and shoot at fellow citizens in the city of Philadelphia. It's been a good morning for the citizens of Philadelphia who no longer want to justify this. I can't say enough good things about the partnership that we have at the task force with the police department and the Attorney General's office. In particular, this time around, we've established a good partnership with analysts from the Delaware Valley Intelligence Center who sit alongside and help support our investigations as well. And we had tremendous help from the individuals that were embedded with us in order to continue this investigation. But sometimes we forget the unsung heroes here, and as I get to stand up here and talk, I do want to give the highlights to those individuals who've worked so hard and spent years now doing those investigations, and that's Detective Kelly Gallagher and her partner, Detective Pat Cavalieri, who I think is currently still working at this moment, and they might have had a rough morning too from all the work that they did, but their supervisors as well, Lieutenant Anselmos, who's here. They've always supported the task force, and it is because of the hard work that they put in that we as attorneys get to sit up here and talk about the good work and the things that are happening for the citizens of Philadelphia. I do want to call up ADA Adam Foray and ADA Katie Remy, who will get into the details of this investigation that occurred over a series of years. But again, we're now back 2 weeks later to tell you that we are continuing to do the work to get the crimes solved, to stop the violence, and to hopefully get these guns off the street so that we don't have to keep having these press conferences. So today, again, is a great day for the citizens of Philadelphia, and I hope those that picked up the guns and committed these crimes enjoy their days in custody, because they'll be there for a while. ADA Foray and ADA Remy, can you step up?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adam Foray, and this is Catherine Remy. We're both assistant district attorneys with the Gun Violence Task Force assigned to this investigation. So we're here today to announce charges against 21 members of different criminal organizations that you've heard about, specifically the Senders, the Close Range Gang, P&B, and 7th Street, for different incidents ranging from 2022 leading into 2024. But before we review the details of those arrests, I'd like to start off by thanking the individuals whose hard work led to these arrests. Specifically, we want to highlight the tremendous work of Detective Kelly Gallagher, who's here today, also those who are not. So that includes Detective Patrick Cavalieri, David Ganone, Ryan Moore, Christopher Maitland, Andrew Gallagher, Stephen Blackwell, as well as Officers Copestick and Berryman from the Criminal Intelligence Unit, our partners at the Attorney General's Office, including Agent Matthew Winscombe, our partners at the FBI and the DIVIC, and our criminal analysts that are here today, Amanda McCourty, Ashley Waples, and Rashawn Simmons. So these arrests that we're going to be discussing today are a continuation of the efforts that we first disclosed a year ago with those sweeping indictments of the gangs based in South Philadelphia. Our continued investigation has led to recharging many of those individuals with further crimes, as well as newly identified conspirators and other incidents. So utilizing a number of methods that we've talked about before that the Gun Violence Task Force has used, things like NIBIN reports, those firearm reports, digital forensics, the continued investigations of those initial shootings, which were committed and back and forth retaliation, revealed other targeted shootings in which oftentimes innocent bystanders were struck. Since beginning the investigation in 2023, violent shootings and homicides in South Philadelphia have been effectively cut in half, according to Philadelphia law enforcement statistics. Now, these groups that we're talking about are ever evolving, and the investigations into these groups and other matters are ongoing. So we're going to be a little bit limited in how much detail we can go into today, but we'll be displaying on the screen now a list of all the incidents charged and the individuals named in the indictments.
So as you can see here on the map, there are 24 incidents that we have arrests for. They are spanning across Philadelphia with a large concentration of them in South Philadelphia. And these include 1 homicide, 18 non-fatal shootings, 3 gunpoint carjackings, 1 car theft, and 1 gunpoint robbery. And overall, there were 32 individuals that were victimized from these incidents. Arrest warrants for 21 individuals were issued for these crimes. A majority of those people are currently in custody. There are a few that we're in the process of getting into custody right now, so I'm not going to mention those individuals' names, but the defendants who've been arrested for these crimes are Malik Robbins, Jamie Drayton, Marquand Flamer, Bahij Arthur, Atum L, Emmett Hardy, Damar Holmes, Ramel Humphrey, Carl Jarrett, Quadir Spady, Alante Outerbridge, Eli Simmons, Malik Sweets, Ivan Williams, Javon Fisher, Basir Johnson, Alon Harris, Taj Lennon, and Samira Pendleton. High bail has been set for each of these individuals, upwards of $6 million for some, including without bail for some of the defendants as well. And as stated earlier, these investigations are ever evolving and they're continuing to unfold. Since the start of our grand jury investigation and the arrests back in 2023 connected to these, we've seen a significant drop in the number of shootings and homicides in South Philadelphia. Our goal is that these numbers keep going down through our work with our law enforcement partners, and we will work to arrest and convict all of these crime drivers in this area.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marielle De La Cruz. I'm the director of our Victim Services Unit here at the District Attorney's Office. Our unit exists to ensure that victims of crime are not alone as they navigate the criminal legal process. Every day we work with individuals, families, and community members who have experienced trauma, loss, and violence, and our role is to meet them with compassion and support and advocacy. We serve victims of all crimes. Specifically, in this case, we have been working with victims of gun violence. From the very first point of contact, we provide crisis intervention, emotional support, and a clear guidance on what to expect in the criminal legal proceedings that are going to be pending in this case. We help ensure that victims understand their rights, that they have a voice, and that they're treated with dignity every step of the way. Our team offers court accompaniment, safety planning, and connections to critical resources in the community to allow victims and those impacted to heal properly. We also work closely with our local victim services providers, as well as our specialized units here at the DAO, the CARES unit, and our relocations unit, to ensure that victims receive comprehensive and wraparound support. A significant part of our work is supporting victims and families impacted by gun violence. We understand that gun violence has a profound and lasting impact on communities, not just on individuals, but all communities. In these cases, we provide immediate crisis response through our CARES unit, ongoing advocacy, and long-term support for survivors and families. At the heart of everything we do, we have a commitment to promoting healing and ensuring that every victim, regardless of the crime, has access to support and the resources that they need. As of this morning, myself and members of our team have been in contact with several of the victims, and we have made outreach on all the cases associated with the defendants and those victims in those cases. If you haven't heard from us, or if you want to come forward, please contact our main number, the Victim Services Unit main number, which is 215-686-8027. We are here to support you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guillermo Ruiz, and I'm a peer crisis responder with the Philadelphia District Attorney's CARES Unit, which stands for Crisis Assistance, Response, and Engagement for Survivors. The CARES Unit exists to support families and communities impacted by homicide. When violence occurs, our team connects with survivors within the first 24 hours to provide emotional support, guidance, and connection and resource for survivors during what is often the most painful moments of their lives. A peer crisis responder, PCR, is someone who provides trauma-informed crisis support to families and loved ones after violence. We help survivors by connecting them to resources like grief counseling, victim services, funeral assistance, and long-term support. For me, this work is deeply personal. I do my best to make myself available even on my days off to ensure loved ones don't feel alone. I'm not only a responder, I'm also a survivor of homicide. I know firsthand how devastating it can be to lose someone you love to violence. I also know how important it is to have someone there who understands the grief, the confusion, the overwhelming questions that come after. That lived experience is why I show up for families during their darkest moments, to remind them that they're not alone, that their grief matters, and that support exists. Through the CARES Unit, our goal is to stand beside survivors, help them find stability during crisis, and connect them with services that support healing and recovery.
Guys, that's going to be it for us here on Philadelphia Live, but stay tuned. We've got more great shows on Fox Local, including our Brotherly Love FC show, all things FIFA and soccer. So stay put. I appreciate you. Have a good one, and I will see you again at 4 on Fox 29.